Hello Virgo friends, I'm Annie Botticelli and welcome to my Virgo January 2022 Astrology Must-Knows Horoscope Forecast. Definitely go to anniehelpsyou.com so you can see the interface for all the free goodies that I make for you each month, and there are a bunch. I have blogs and all kinds of things. And now a new perk for signing up for my email newsletter list is that you can run a free birth chart, so you can use the information that I give you, all those juicy details in this video, in even deeper ways. Okay, so you can see that all at anniehelpsyou.com. You can also see my free courses, including Unleash Your Money Magnet, at lumelife.com, L-U-M-E life.com. Also, you can see my Professional Astrologer Mastery course at that same site. So this video is for you if Virgo is your sun sign or your moon sign or your rising sign or any other Virgo placement you watch for, Mercury or Mars or Venus. This is going to be part of your astrological picture. Astrology is complex, just like humans are complex and life is complex. And so you can go into deeper and deeper layers of your astrological picture by looking at the different placements, okay? So this is for you regardless of your Virgo placement. The next thing to know is if you're a very late degree Virgo, so let's say like September 15th through the rest of the sign or 23 degrees through the rest of the sign, I also urge you to watch my Libra report because you late cuspy people have a more complex read and you will benefit from the information in both the Virgo and Libra reports. Okay, so happy new month, happy new year. It's been a doozy of a couple of years, right? So looking forward into 2022, we definitely have less factors that are at play compared to what we've been stepping out of. So that's definitely something to celebrate. So focusing on this month, let's talk about some things to celebrate and some things to watch out for. First big must know is that we are ending the biggest heat of the eclipse season. So we're stepping out of that major anxiety-ridden, feeling like your finger is stuck in an electric socket for a few months time period. Now you can still get some major eclipse news that comes in, but the vast majority of that, just like that foreboding, that heavy, not knowing what eclipse changes are going to look like, and those kind of energies that have been really present in October, November, and December, that's going to start to dissipate now. So yay, we have that to celebrate. The next big thing that's a must-know to celebrate is that we do have a good bit more sweet aspects compared to salty ones. And whenever that happens, it's like the planets are getting along and we feel that. So that's definitely one layer of what we will experience this month. If you like to know about these sweet and salty aspects and what they are and when, how they might affect you and have that delivered into your inbox 1 month early, that's also another perk you get when you sign up for my free email newsletter at anniehelpsyou.com. And remember, all of this stuff is free. So mostly everything I send you to is just free, more free stuff. So I'm definitely a huge advocate of free education, and you can see that with my work. So I want you to take advantage of the goodies I make for you. Okay, so the next big must know is that we are starting to wear off some of the effects of Saturn, the Saturn Clash with Uranus. Now it is a little bit recent because it did happen toward the end of December. Some people might have experienced that as a new shutting down, because of COVID things and more restrictions. Some people might have experienced that as a new opening up. The way that those planets play is pretty complex. You can see my video, Saturn Square Uranus, if you just search for Annie Botticelli, Saturn Square Uranus, to go into more to understand that. But the good news now is that every day we move into January, we're getting further from that tight connection of those planets. And then we'll actually go to where they're not very close between now and August. And then in August, they'll start to get close again. And then from August to November, we'll have that final storyline of Saturn versus Uranus. But it is going to start going more into the backdrop as we get deeper into January and beyond. So that is more good news. Okay, so next major must know is that we are in a Mercury retrograde month. Okay, so January and February until around February 23rd, we're in a Mercury retrograde cycle. And this is important to know because you are going to be confused. Things are going to be called into question. It's going to be difficult to plan for this time, and it's going to be difficult to plan for the future in this time. So if you're in January trying to plan for another month, it's better off to not try to do that because things are just on shaky ground at this time. And again, this is nothing to fear. This is just something to know. There are so many things that are really great to do at Mercury retrograde time, like clear up unfinished business, deal with whatever is right in front of you. And my favorite manifestation of Mercury retrograde is to make room for last minute magic. So the best advice I can give you from Mercury retrograde is to try to schedule yourself light and in pencil. All right, so that's going to hold true for all of January and pretty much the first half of February. And when you schedule yourself light, this last minute magic that comes in, like the last minute invite for a little trip, or the last minute invite for an event, or to do something or connect with someone, or to work on something with someone, you'll have more space for that if you're not overscheduled. The retrogrades are a beautiful time where the universe tries to keep everything balanced, right? We're always trying to seek balance. So we're in this forward, go, 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 do everything, schedule. And then the retrogrades give us this opportunity to just not know what's going on, not plan as much for the future, not, just kind of deal with the things that are right in front of us and be in the present moment. So it's actually by divine design that you have to stop doing some of the stuff that are normal things that we do in society, and you just take a little break from that. All right, so the whole Mercury retrograde cycle, it starts, the pre-transit shadow period starts the last days of December. That runs through January 14th when the official retrograde begins. Then the official retrograde ends February 3rd, and then the post-transit shadow period runs through the 23rd of February. Now, what big must know is that from February 23rd through April 27th is your big open launch time. I always talk about the tides, the astrological tides. And that's the basis of most of my work, is if we understand when the tide is coming in and the tide is going out for different things in life, then we can align our throwing our message in a bottle out to sea with the time when the tide is not going to bring it right back to us, right? And the same thing if you're trying to get off of an island, you want the tides to be going out. So for launches, big decisions, engagements, weddings, big moves, big purchases and big sales, anything having to do with big decisions or contracts, things that you're committing to in a long-term way, clarity and planning for the future, you want the tides to go out. And the tides are going to be going out from February 23rd through April 27th in a big way. And that time is actually going to feel more like a new year than this time. We will get some new year clean slate feelings because of the wrap up of the eclipse cycle in Sagittarius and Gemini. That eclipse cycle that started around March 2020 and ends December now into January is going to wrap up a lot of karma and wrap up a lot of storylines. And because of that, you will feel like, oh, it's new, there's new things starting. But you'll also feel that web of the Mercury retrograde and the Venus retrograde, making this a time to eat the food that comes to you in your web. The active weaving and pushing out into new areas to weave your webs is going to happen from the end of February through the end of April. And now is the time to just hang out and see what comes to you and just do the things that are right in front of your face to be dealt with, and enjoy the present moment. Okay, so the next big must know is that Venus is going to still be retrograde and is going direct. So let's talk about the dates of the Venus retrograde cycle, because Venus rules love and finances and money and beauty and design and relationships and romance and a lot of things, right? So it's a long transit. It covers a lot of ground, so we've got to talk a little bit about this, but I will refer you out to my Venus retrograde video that's specially detailed on this topic. Plus, at anniehelpsyou.com, you can see my Venus retrograde through the signs and houses blog series. And if you were born in Venus retrograde or are expecting a child in Venus retrograde, then you'll want to see my blogs about that too, because I have a lot of information. So Venus shadow period starts November 18th. That pre-transit shadow period goes until December 19th. The retrogrades from December 19th through January 29th, and the post-transit shadow period is through March 2nd. So very, very long. Big must know here, your Venus goggles are going to be on. So you might not be seeing clearly in love, beauty, money, or design. And the things that you think are completely right on might be right on, but for a shorter period of time than you expect. So best advice here is try to experiment in ways that don't negatively affect the stability that you have. Okay, practicality is very key here. And don't make any big changes or big decisions if you can help it that are not fixable. Now, that being said, sometimes something you've been working on for a long time might come to pass at this time. Like, let's say you've been working on selling your house and you're sure you want to do it and you've been working on it for a long time, and then sometimes that will happen or something like that. But if it's more of like a recent decision or like a whim, like maybe I'll sell my house and it's not something that was in the plan to be just now working out, consider this a reconsideration time. Both Mercury and Venus retrogrades are bringing this energy of reconsideration. But reconsideration turning into action is where the danger zone comes in, unless the actions are easily fixable. So if you can experiment, examples I like to use to illustrate the point that you can then hopefully apply to your circumstances. Buying some new plants instead of paying thousands of dollars for a new landscape redesign is something that is affordable and easily changeable. Getting new throw pillows or a new comforter instead of buying all new furniture. Painting a wall instead of painting your whole entire house. Things that are flexible, easier to fix, lower stakes are going to be the things you want to do. Usually we're strongly suggesting to not cut all your hair off, get a tattoo, get physical augmentations at this time. The chances for things to be botched up or for you to regret it are increased dramatically, but it is a fine time for you to experiment and to research and to try things on in a non-committal way. This way, when you're seeing more clearly, which is going to be, that post-shadow period ends March 2nd, so you'll have your complete clarity from the Venus retrograde in March and, March and beyond. Then you can see more clearly for the decisions that you want to make. Okay, so definitely check out the Venus retrograde video. Just search for Annie Botticelli Venus retrograde. Now, this reconsideration process is happening in every area of life. It could be in any area of life, but there are some strong areas of focus for Virgo in love, because the true love sector is being accentuated with the retrogrades, in health and your diet and your well-being and the sustainability of your work. Also, creative projects. This is an amazing time to go back over and finish up or redesign old projects or refurbish things that you've already done. Like, let's say your website needs some fixes. That's another big must-know for this time, is that function is better than design decisions. So let's say you already have a website. Now you're just kind of doing some touch-ups, improving it, or if you're like fixing rotting wood on your house, things that are functional and needing to be done, this is a good time for sprucing things up. Trying a new beauty product instead of doing a surgery, things like that. Doing inner work to work on self-esteem, to feel better about yourself before you make any permanent decisions for what you might want to do to change how you look. Those kind of things are the kind of things that you're going to be thinking about, because these are the things that are being aspected for you. Creative projects and love and children, also reconsidering the anything having to do with kids, maybe reconsidering your kids' education, reconsidering whether you want to have kids or not, anything having to do with reconsidering your relationship with your children, or just going back to things that you did with your kids that were super fun or that worked for them. If you're having any trouble with anything in your life at this time, a big must-know is to go back to something that worked for you or for your kids or for your relationship in the past. And you could find that it's a really great Renaissance time where joy and magic comes from the past, from reverting back to some things that really worked for you. Okay, so if you have to do something, think about that. And the same thing goes for your health. If you have a certain diet or lifestyle or things that you did, habits that were really good for you, think back to when you've done better in those areas of life and think back to what you did. Then re-implementing those things like, when I was eating this way, I felt better. When I was taking this supplement, I felt better. When, I had this practice, I felt better. Those kind of things are things that are going to be very beneficial now. Okay, so some more good news for Virgo is that this is a Capricorn season. So we've got the new moon, the sun, we've got Venus, we've got other planets, Mercury partly retrograde, all happening in Capricorn. And Capricorn is a fellow earth sign. So that means there's a monstrous amount of sweet, most favorable aspects in all of astrology for Virgo placement. So every one of those things that I listed, all of their movements are making trines with your placement. So that means, and that increases the odds that these retrogrades are going to be super favorable for you, because at least part of the Mercury retrograde is in Capricorn, and that's going to favor all of you, but especially those of you who are in the last, we'll say, like 6 days of the sign. So that's like the last week, so right before it turns into Libra. So maybe like the 16th of September or so on, you will get even more favor from this transit. And all of the October born basically will get even more favor from the Venus retrograde transit, because the degrees of 11 through 26 is where that Capricorn retrograde is. And so you all are getting 3 kisses from the Venus retrograde transit. But don't worry if you're not in those divisions that I just stated, because the magic is available for all of you. There's just more chance that will feel more personal and obvious for those of you in those date and degree ranges. Okay, so the energies when they move in Aquarius is going to start bringing health and your daily regimen up. So, you're starting to enter that time where those things are going to be coming up more. And you have a long-term transit with Saturn in the 6th house. So it's really, really, really critical if you've been feeling pressured with your health, or if you've been getting away with a lot of health things that haven't been causing problems for you, the odds that something might manifest or break from the pressure are increased. So a little proactivity here would be very beneficial for you. And anything that you can do to get very disciplined with, your practitioners or your regimens to heal health issues is going to be very helpful at this time. All right, so the last big must know that we're going to talk about, and I did talk about this in the December report as well, but I will touch on it here, is that Jupiter recently went into Pisces at the end of December. And this is a very big deal for Virgo, because Pisces is in the sign that opposes yours. So the relevance and connection to this transit is going to be very profound for Virgo placements. The 180-degree angle that's being made by Jupiter during the time period of the end of December through the beginning of May, for all Virgo placements, you will all get your opposition somewhere in that time. The earlier you are in degree and birth date, the sooner in that time period you'll get it, and then later you'll get it later. And those of you who are at the very end of the sign, you're going to actually have multiple crosses over of the opposition, both like in the April-May time frame, and then later in the year when Jupiter pops back into Pisces for a short time. So what that means, first of all, is that there's going to be a very big push and pull with your self versus others, yourself versus relationships, how you are in relationship. This is a very big story. You hear me talk about this a lot for all humans, but especially Virgos, who tend to be very focused on helping other people, sometimes to your own detriment. So expansion is wanting to occur in your relationship space, and that is something that is very, very, very exciting. It might be a little bit of a transition for you, because you're already working with so much, and now things, like your new perfect partner, expansion within the relationship you already have. If you haven't met your partner, you can meet them. If you've met them, you could get engaged. If you're engaged, you might get married. If you're married, you might have a baby, or it could go in any different order than that. But expansion to your relationship space, both personal and professional, is what wants to happen at this time. That is going to put that 180-degree angle on you, which means that you're going to be working very hard, but it doesn't have to be a bad thing. It could just mean that, wow, things are really manifesting in your relationship sector, and that's making you be extra busy and making you be more tired and making you have to take better care of yourself because you're flouncing around with your new friends and work cohorts, and you're maybe not getting enough sleep or whatever. So this 180-degree angle isn't something to fear. It's just something to know that it's a push and a pull, and it's like you have to work harder to keep the balance is basically the big must know there. Okay, so it's a very exciting time when all of your relationship dreams can really come true in a big way in advance. And any relationship problems that you have that have not been resolved are also going to come up. And that might be how you're feeling the pressure, because you might actually have to deal with them. But the retrograde is amazing for really bringing to focus what the problems are, and that can also bring in what the solutions can be. Okay, so you might need to do a little work in your sector of your relationship with yourself, of your childhood psychology, like things that happened in your childhood, things that have gone on in your relationship, healing trauma. Many of you might be diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder, and you might have therapies that can help you with that, which can then help your relationships. So it's a very exciting time of relationship discovery and self-discovery. Okay, so I've given you lots of information to help you make the most of this new month and this new year. If you would like even more information, I have a lot more resources for you. Go to anniehelpsyou.com, or you can click on the link below this video. If you click on the little more button with the arrow, the notes will be revealed and the direct link is there. And if you would love to be an astrologer as your profession, or just earn a little bit of money on the side from your love of astrology, or just help yourself and your friends and your family without charging, you will love my Becoming a Professional Astrologer Mastery course. As you can see from all of the things that I do, I'm a teacher. I love to teach astrology. And if you think I put a lot into my free resources, you should see what goes into this crazy comprehensive course, Becoming a Professional Astrologer, which you can see at lumelife.com, L-U-M-E life.com. This link is also in the notes underneath the video. I also have a book. I have multiple books, but the book that is most about astrology is called Planetology, and you can see that at any major booksellers, and it's actually on the shelf at all major booksellers. I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye!